Exposition of Quran by G. A. Parwez, Sura 2, verse 51 to 100.
وَإِذْ وَاعَدْنَا مُوسَىٰ 40 لَيْلَةً ثُمَّ اتَّخَذْتُمُ الْعِجْلَ مِن بَعْدِهِ وَأَنْتُمْ ظَالِمُونَ.
51 And having reached the valley of Sinai, Moses, following our command, left you for 40 nights. During this short break you started worshipping the calf and thus rebelled against the divine laws.
ثُمَّ عَفَوْنَا عَنْكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ. وَإِذْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابَ وَالْفُرْقَانَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَهْتَدُونَ.
52 to 53 In spite of this, we did not reject you. Instead, we removed the ill effects of your wrongdoings and afforded you another opportunity to foster your potentialities. We gave to Moses a code of laws which provided a clear criterion for distinguishing between truth and falsehood. This was given, so that in the light of this code you should safely reach your destination.
وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ يَا قَوْمِ إِنَّكُمْ ظَلَمْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ بِاتِّخَاذِكُمُ الْعِجْلَ فَتُوبُوا إِلَى بَارِئِكُمْ فَاقْتُلُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ ذَلِكُمْ خَيْرٌ لَكُمْ عِندَ بَارِئِكُمْ فَتَابَ عَلَيْكُمْ إِنَّهُ هُوَ التَّوَّابُ الرَّحِيمُ.
54 When, after 40 nights, Moses returned and saw his people engaged in calf worship, he said, "By worshipping this calf you have harmed your own selves and your action has caused you to fall far below the level of humanity. You can make amends by admitting your wrongdoing and submitting to the divine laws with profound meekness and humility. This is the only way to benefit from the divine laws. And the characteristic of this law is that whoever turns towards them, they also respond with full loads of nourishing qualities."
وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَن نُّؤْمِنَ لَكَ حَتَّى نَرَى اللَّهَ جَهْرَةً فَأَخَذَتْكُمُ الصَّاعِقَةُ وَأَنْتُمْ تَنْظُرُونَ.
55 We had given you a clear code of laws. Had you followed it, the results would themselves have convinced you of its divine origin. But instead of following this code and recognizing Allah through its workings, you said to Moses, "We are not prepared to accept anything you say till we see Allah with our own eyes." You had demanded to see Allah unveiled but were terrified even by the thundering noise of the earthquake. Although you fully understood the source of the noise.
ثُمَّ بَعَثْنَاكُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَوْتِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَشْكُرُونَ.
56 Even after that we revived you and afforded you the opportunity to foster your potentialities so that liberated from the death-inflicting effects of bondage, you could live your new life as free human beings.
وَظَلَّلْنَا عَلَيْكُمُ الْغَمَامَ وَأَنزَلْنَا عَلَيْكُمُ الْمَنَّ وَالسَّلْوَىٰ كُلُوا مِن طَيِّبَاتِ مَا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ وَمَا ظَلَمُونَا وَلَكِن كَانُوا أَنفُسَهُمْ يَظْلِمُونَ.
57 For this, you were given an abundance of worldly goods, unearned. In this desert you were shaded by heavy clouds and you ate delicious food, the meat of fowl and manna. But even then you did not follow our laws steadfastly. By your conduct you did not harm anyone but your own selves.
وَإِذْ قُلْنَا ادْخُلُوا هَٰذِهِ الْقَرْيَةَ فَكُلُوا مِنْهَا حَيْثُ شِئْتُمْ رَغَدًا وَادْخُلُوا الْبَابَ سُجَّدًا وَقُولُوا حطة نغفر لكم خطاياكم وسنزيد المحسنين.
58 We had expected that you would live in the city successfully and be able to use the means of nurture as and when you chose, provided you adhered to our laws. This way your mode of living like a homeless gypsy would have ended. Thus, you would not only have been protected from the ill effects of the wrongs already committed by you, but your successes would also have been further increased.
فبدل الذين ظلموا قولا غير الذي قيل لهم فأنزلنا على الذين ظلموا رجزا من السماء بما كانوا يفسقون.
59 But you preferred a life of ease and lethargy to one of struggle and discipline, and thus, deviating from the path revealed by us, followed one of your own choice. As a result you lost your strength and courage. Consequently you could not take possession of the land for 40 years which had been promised to you.
وَإِذِ اسْتَسْقَى مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ فَقُلْنَا اضْرِب بِّعَصَاكَ الْحَجَرَ فانفجرت منه 12 عينا قد علم كل أناس مشربهم كلوا واشربوا من رزق الله ولا تعثوا في الأرض مفسدين.
60 Recall also how when confronted with shortage of water, Moses sought our help and we directed him to the place where water springs lay concealed. He reached that spot with his people, removed the earth from the rocks, and from thence, not 1 or 2, but 12 springs gushed forth. He allocated 1 spring to each tribe. We told you at that time that since your physical needs were being fulfilled now you ought not to cause the disintegration of your society through disorder and inequity.
وَإِذْ قُلْتُمْ يَا مُوسَى لَن نَّصْبِرَ عَلَىٰ طَعَامٍ وَاحِدٍ فَادْعُ لَنَا رَبَّكَ يُخْرِجْ لَنَا مِمَّا تُنبِتُ الْأَرْضُ مِن بَقْلِهَا وَقِثَّائِهَا وَفُومِهَا وَعَدَسِهَا وَبَصَلِهَا قال أتستبدلون الذي هو أدنى بالذي هو خير اهبطوا مصرا فإن لكم ما سألتم وضربت عليهم الذلة والمسكنة وباءوا بغضب من الله ذلك بأنهم كانوا يكفرون بآيات الله ويقتلون النبيين بغير الحق ذلك بما عصوا وكانوا يعتدون.
61 As mentioned earlier, you preferred an easy life to soldierly discipline and said to Moses, in this desert life, we cannot eat the same wild food morning and evening. You should ask your sustainer for cultivated produce such as vegetables, herbs, cucumbers, garlic, different kinds of corn and lentils, onions, etc. The life of the desert had, in fact, been a training ground for them where they could acquire soldierly discipline, and its food was such that it would have energized them. Moses answered, Alas! If you prefer an inferior life to the superior one that is being offered to you, then go and live in a city where you will find what you want. As a result of their choice, they lost the capability to be strong and creative and developed traits of subservience and apathy, which led to their disgrace and humiliation. They suffered such punishment because they refused to live according to the divine laws, and instead of honoring their Anbiya, sought to degrade them unjustly, and sometimes even to kill them, thus transgressing the limits set by Allah.
إِنَّ الذين آمنوا والذين هادوا والنصارى والصابئين من آمن بالله واليوم الآخر وعمل صالحا فلهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون.
62 This has been your record, but in spite of it, you believe that you are Allah's chosen offsprings, and that paradise is reserved for your race. This is your vain imagining. Paradise is not reserved for any race. Our law is that, irrespective of origin, any person from amongst the following: 1. Jews, Christians, Sabaeans. 2. Those who believe in Allah without formally adopting any particular religion. And 3. Those who are Muslim only by virtue of being born in a Muslim family. Whoever believes in Allah's law of Mukafat, as revealed to you, O Rasul, and leads his life accordingly, will be duly compensated. Such a person will lead a life of heavenly bliss, free of fear, grief and anxiety.
وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورَ خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ وَاذْكُرُوا مَا فِيهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ.
63 After this digression, return to your history, and recall to your mind as to how you were given physical security by being placed in a valley with a mountain protecting you from the back, and how a code of laws was given to you for your guidance. We had also asked you to hold fast to this code and always bear in mind all that is therein, so that you may remain safe from all the pitfalls and dangers around you.
ثُمَّ تَوَلَّيْتُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ فَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ لَكُنتُم مِّنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ.
64 You had been asked to hold fast to the laws revealed to you. You made a firm promise to do so, but you violated your covenant. Due to our law of respite, you were not held to account for your actions at once. Else you would have faced immediate ruin.
وَلَقَدْ عَلِمْتُمُ الَّذِينَ اعْتَدَوْا مِنكُمْ فِي السَّبْتِ فَقُلْنَا لَهُمْ كُونُوا قِرَدَةً خَاسِئِينَ.
65 As a result of deviating from the divine laws, your character had degenerated to such a degree that when you were asked to refrain from business and fishing for one day in the week, your avarice would not permit you to comply with even such a minor restriction. Through such actions you degraded your humanity and became objects of ridicule and scorn.
فَجَعَلْنَاهَا نَكَالًا لِمَا بَيْنَ يَدَيْهَا وَمَا خَلْفَهَا وَمَوْعِظَةً لِلْمُتَّقِينَ.
66 Your degeneration and wretchedness served as a lesson to all peoples, your contemporaries as well as later generations, teaching them how to be safe from such calamities as you brought upon yourselves.
وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرَةً قَالُوا أَتَتَّخِذُنَا هُزُوًا قَالَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ أَنْ أَكُونَ مِنَ الْجَاهِلِينَ.
67 Your habit of excuse-making became so entrenched that when you were asked by Allah to slaughter a bull so that your hearts would be purged of dedication to calf worship, you began to ridicule the order even though you knew that the divine decree was communicated to you through a Nabi and that it was not appropriate for a Nabi to talk ignorantly.
قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما هي قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة لا فارض ولا بكر عوان بين ذلك فافعلوا ما تؤمرون.
68 Then you started a hair-splitting discussion unnecessarily, saying, "Ask Allah to state unequivocally what kind of a bull is to be sacrificed." You were told, the bull should neither be too young nor too old but of mature age, and that you should not dilly-dally in carrying out the order.
قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما لونها قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة صفراء فاقع لونها تسر الناظرين.
69 You said, "No, the matter is still not clear to us. Ask your Rabb to tell us what the color of the bull should be." You were told, it should be of a deep yellow hue pleasing to the onlooker's eyes.
قالوا ادع لنا ربك يبين لنا ما هي إن البقرة شابه علينا وإنا إن شاء الله لمهتدون.
70 Still, you did not wish to comply and for the sake of further disputation, said, "The matter is still somewhat unclear. Elaborate further so that we should know exactly what is required and then we would act accordingly."
قال إنه يقول إنها بقرة لا ذلول تثير الأرض ولا تسقي الحرث مسلمة لا شية فيها. قالوا الآن جئت بالحق فذبحوها وما كادوا يفعلون.
71 You were told, the bull should be sound and unmarked, never having been used in a yoke for tilling or drawing water. You said, "Yes, now you have clarified the matter fully." You resorted to such quibbling over such a trifling issue, not because the matter was not clear to you. You knew it well that we wanted you to slaughter a bull because of your calf worship. But you did not want to do so due to your devotion to the calf.
وَإِذْ قَتَلْتُمْ نَفْسًا فَادَّارَأْتُمْ فِيهَا وَاللَّهُ مُخْرِجٌ مَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْتُمُونَ.
72 Whilst you were so reluctant to slaughter an animal, you took a human life unjustly and blamed one another for the murder. But Allah wanted to unveil what you were concealing so that the crime should not remain unpunished.
فَقُلْنَا اضْرِبُوهُ بِبَعْضِهَا كَذَلِكَ يُحْيِي اللَّهُ الْمَوْتَى وَيُرِيكُمْ آيَاتِهِ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ.
73 The psychological condition of superstitious people is such that anything out of the ordinary causes them to be fearful. Knowing this, Allah said, "Ask all those whom you suspect of the murder to touch some part of the corpse." When the culprit came close to the corpse, his fearful demeanor gave him away. Thus Allah unveiled the murderer who was punished for his crime. Retributive justice which punishes criminals safeguards a nation's life. You should therefore use your intellect and insight to solve such problems.
ثُمَّ قَسَتْ قُلُوبُكُم مِّن بَعْدِ ذَلِكَ فَهِيَ كَالْحِجَارَةِ أَوْ أَشَدُّ قَسْوَةً وَإِنَّ مِنَ الْحِجَارَةِ لَمَا يَتَفَجَّرُ مِنْهُ الْأَنْهَارُ وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَشَّقَّقُ فَيَخْرُجُ مِنْهُ الْمَاءُ وَإِنَّ مِنْهَا لَمَا يَهْبِطُ مِنْ خَشْيَةِ اللَّهِ وَمَا اللَّهُ بِغَافِلٍ عَمَّا تَعْمَلُونَ.
74 You went through cycles of disintegration and reconstruction and finally you turned away completely from the code of divine laws, and this hardened your hearts even more than stones. For there are some stones from which streams or springs issue forth and which become so soft, leaving aside their position of hardness in front of Allah's laws, that they can easily be ground. But your hearts are such that they do not soften out of compassion for humanity, nor do they submit to the divine laws. You will be judged according to the law of Mukafat and suffer the consequences of your actions.
أفتطمعون أن يؤمنوا لكم وقد كان فريق منهم يسمعون كلام الله ثم يحرفونه من بعد ما عقلوه وهم يعلمون.
75 O Jamaat al-Momineen. Do you think that such people can ever cooperate with you, as you desire them to? Amongst them there is a group of religious leaders, who hear and understand divine laws and then deliberately alter them or interpret them in such a way that the truth is distorted. The rest of the people follow this group. How can people who act thus be expected to accept the truth?
وَإِذَا لَقُوا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا قَالُوا آمَنَّا وَإِذَا خَلَا بَعْضُهُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ قالوا أتحدثونهم بما فتح الله عليكم ليحاجوكم به عند ربكم أفلا تعقلون.
76 You assume that these people are honest and truthful, as they profess to be in your presence, but when they meet together in privacy, they say, we may intermingle with them but should be cautious lest we divulge those things in our sacred books which they may use against us. This position you should comprehend fully.
أَوَلَا يَعْلَمُونَ أَنَّ اللَّهَ يَعْلَمُ مَا يُسِرُّونَ وَمَا يُعْلِنُونَ.
77 But they do not realize that they seek to hide from Allah what He Himself had revealed to them. Ask them, how can anything remain hidden from Allah? He knows fully well what these people reveal and conceal.
وَمِنْهُمْ أُمِّيُّونَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا أَمَانِيَّ وَإِنْ هُمْ إِلَّا يَظُنُّونَ فَوَيْلٌ لِلَّذِينَ يَكْتُبُونَ الْكِتَابَ بِأَيْدِيهِمْ ثُمَّ يَقُولُونَ هَذَا مِنْ عِنْدِ اللَّهِ لِيَشْتَرُوا بِهِ ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا فَوَيْلٌ لَهُمْ مِمَّا كَتَبَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَوَيْلٌ لَهُمْ مِمَّا يَكْسِبُونَ.
78 to 79 These people practice deception not only on others but also amongst themselves. The illiterate ones amongst them do not know what Allah has revealed and refer their questions about the Shariat to their religious leaders. The latter frame the laws of the Shariat themselves but tell the former that these laws are divine. Thus they deceive others just to secure a paltry price for it, not realizing that their fabrication of the Shariat and their use of it as means of livelihood will bring about their ruin.
وَقَالُوا لَن تَمَسَّنَا النَّارُ إِلَّا أَيَّامًا مَّعْدُودَةً قُلْ أَتَّخَذْتُمْ عِندَ اللَّهِ عَهْدًا فَلَن يُخْلِفَ اللَّهُ عَهْدَهُ أَمْ تَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ بَلَى مَنْ كَسَبَ سَيِّئَةً وَأَحَاطَتْ بِهِ خَطِيئَتُهُ فَأُولَئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ.
80 to 81 Also self-deceived, they say to themselves, no matter what we do, we will not be held to account for it. At the most we will spend a short time in hell, till our intercessors secure our forgiveness from Allah. Ask them, have you obtained a promise from Allah to such effect? If you have, then what you say must come to pass because Allah never goes back on His promise. You have, however, no proof to substantiate this. Allah's unchangeable law of mukafat is that whenever a people become accustomed to violating divine laws and engulf their entire society in this mode of conduct, the inevitable result is disorder and perpetual destruction.
والذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أولئك أصحاب الجنة هم فيها خالدون.
82 Contrary to the above, a people who believe in these laws and follow them will be blessed with an eternal paradise-like life.
وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ لَا تَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا اللَّهَ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا وَذِي الْقُرْبَى وَالْيَتَامَى وَالْمَسَاكِينِ وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ ثم توليتم إلا قليلا منكم وأنتم معرضون.
83 It was never your covenant with Allah that you would not be held accountable for your actions. It was that you would adhere to the laws of none other than Allah, treat your elderly parents well, and also help your relatives including orphans and others in need so that the equilibrium of society is not disrupted. You had also promised that you would deal congenially with the common people and exhort them to do good deeds. Furthermore, you had promised to establish the Nizam as-Salat and just economic order. After making these promises, however, you started looking for ways to evade fulfilling them, and except for a few, the rest abandoned the right path, and you backslide even now.
وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ لَا تَسْفِكُونَ دِمَاءَكُمْ وَلَا تُخْرِجُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ مِنْ دِيَارِكُمْ ثُمَّ أَقْرَرْتُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ تَشْهَدُونَ.
84 You had also promised that you would not engage in mutual bloodshed, nor would you turn the weaker amongst you out of the dwellings. Such promises you had made after consideration of all relevant factors, and you have testified to that.
ثم أنتم هؤلاء تقتلون أنفسكم وتخرجون فريقا منكم من ديارهم تظاهرون عليهم بالإثم والعدوان وإن يأتوكم أسارى تفادوهم وهو محرم عليكم إخراجهم أفتؤمنون ببعض الكتاب وتكفرون ببعض فما جزاء من يفعل ذلك منكم إلا خزي في الحياة الدنيا ويوم القيامة يردون إلى أشد العذاب وما الله بغافل عما تعملون.
85 These were the pledges you made, but you continued shedding each other's blood and turning the weak amongst you out of their homes. Your society, instead of taking the criminals to task, encouraged them to evil acts. When the homeless people were taken captive, you secured their release and thought that by paying the ransom you had done a very pious deed. Whereas the expelling of these people from their homes was a heinous crime which you had been forbidden to commit. Such is your state of mind that you accept one part of Allah's code of laws and deny another. When people make it a way of life to follow that part of the divine code which they think serves their interest, and forsake the rest, they are bound to suffer failure and disgrace in this world and commitment to most grievous suffering in the hereafter. This is the inevitable result of fragmenting Allah's code. It should be accepted or rejected in toto. And also bear in mind that according to the law of mukafat, no action of yours remains hidden.
أولئك الذين اشتروا الحياة الدنيا بالآخرة فلا يخفف عنهم العذاب ولا هم ينصرون.
86 These above mentioned people trade the happiness of their future life for worldly comforts. Their ignoble condition is aggravated with time and no one can rescue them from it.
وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا مُوسَى الْكِتَابَ وَقَفَّيْنَا مِن بَعْدِهِ بِالرُّسُلِ وَآتَيْنَا عِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ الْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَيَّدْنَاهُ بِرُوحِ الْقُدُسِ أَفَكُلَّمَا جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ بِمَا لَا تَهْوَىٰ أَنفُسُكُمُ اسْتَكْبَرْتُمْ فَفَرِيقًا كَذَّبْتُمْ وَفَرِيقًا تَقْتُلُونَ.
87 The process of revealing the divine laws to you did not end with Moses but continued after him. The last in the series of your Anbiya was Jesus, son of Mary. To him we had given revelation in an authentic form which was strengthened by solid reasoning. This gave him great strength and confidence. But you adulterated whatever remained with you of the revelations given to previous Anbiya. Such has been your way that whenever any Rasul opposed your interest or inclination, you became stubbornly resistant. You insulted some Rusul and even plotted to kill others. You are now acting the same way towards this book so that it may be changed according to your desires.
وَقَالُوا قُلُوبُنَا غُلْفٌ بَل لَّعَنَهُمُ اللَّهُ بِكُفْرِهِمْ فَقَلِيلًا مَّا يُؤْمِنُونَ.
88 Such is their hatred of Quranic teachings, that they cannot stand to hear it, much less reflect upon it. They say, it does not reach our hearts. Tell them that it is not the case that this message does not reach their hearts. The fact is that they have lost the capability to reflect. Such persons predetermine that they will not accept what they do not want to accept. Very few persons with this kind of mentality will ponder over the truth and accept it.
وَلَمَّا جَاءَهُمْ كِتَابٌ مِّنْ عِندِ اللَّهِ مُصَدِّقٌ لِّمَا مَعَهُمْ وَكَانُوا مِن قَبْلُ يَسْتَفْتِحُونَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا فَلَمَّا جَاءَهُم مَّا عَرَفُوا كَفَرُوا بِهِ فَلَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ.
89 How strange that they reject that book which validates those moral values which were instrumental in the gaining ascendancy over Kafirin. They know well that this book is from Allah, but still reject it. This rejection does not affect the divine code, but because of it they have been deprived of the salutary results which follow from its implementation.
بئس ما اشتروا به أنفسهم أن يكفروا بما أنزل الله بغيا أن ينزل الله من فضله على من يشاء من عباده فباءوا بغضب على غضب وَلِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ.
90 Actually the reason underlying their rejection of the Quran is that they are jealous of the fact that this Rasul is not an Israeli. Nubuwwat is bestowed by Allah upon whoever is considered worthy of it. And nationality, country, language and color has nothing to do with this. As a result of their obstinacy they lost all the joys and hopes of life. What a poor bargain they made in exchange for their lives. This is what ultimately happens to those people who rebel against the divine laws.
وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ آمِنُوا بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ قَالُوا نُؤْمِنُ بِمَا أُنزِلَ عَلَيْنَا وَيَكْفُرُونَ بِمَا وَرَاءَهُ وَهُوَ الْحَقُّ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا مَعَهُمْ قل فلم تقتلون أنبياء الله من قبل إن كنتم مؤمنين.
91 When it is said to them, "Come, believe in the truth of this divine code," they answer, "No, we will only believe in what was revealed to us and are not prepared to accept any other teaching." They say this even though the Quran is not against the teachings authentically revealed to them and validates revealed and unadulterated values and claims which they already uphold. Ask them, if your only objection to the Quran is that it was revealed to a non-Israeli, why did you humiliate the Israeli Anbiya, rendering their teaching ineffective and sometimes even killing them?
وَلَقَدْ جَاءَكُم مُوسَى بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ ثُمَّ اتَّخَذْتُمُ الْعِجْلَ مِن بَعْدِهِ وَأَنْتُمْ ظَالِمُونَ.
92 Leave aside the other Anbiya of Israel. What did you do to Moses himself? He brought to you a clear code of laws, but during his short absence you took to calf worship. Surely you transgressed the imposed limits.
وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِيثَاقَكُمْ وَرَفَعْنَا فَوْقَكُمُ الطُّورَ خُذُوا مَا آتَيْنَاكُمْ بِقُوَّةٍ وَاسْمَعُوا قَالُوا سَمِعْنَا وَعَصَيْنَا وَأُشْرِبُوا فِي قُلُوبِهِمُ الْعِجْلَ بِكُفْرِهِمْ قُلْ بِئْسَ مَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِهِ إِيمَانُكُمْ إِن كُنتُم مُؤْمِنِينَ.
93. As has been stated earlier in 263. When in the valley you gave us your firm pledge to adhere wholeheartedly to the divine code, you were asked to reflect upon it deeply. You said that you had done so, but instead of adhering to the divine laws you defied them because reverence for the calf had permeated your being. Say to them, this is your previous record. Therefore, when you say that you do not accept the Quran out of loyalty to the divine revelation which you had received, you deceive yourselves and others. If such beliefs and actions are the outcome of your iman, woe be upon such iman.
قُلْ إِن كَانَتْ لَكُمُ الدَّارُ الْآخِرَةُ عِندَ اللَّهِ خَالِصَةً مِّن دُونِ النَّاسِ فَتَمَنَّوُا الْمَوْتَ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ.
94 Say to them, if you truly believe in your claim that you are Allah's beloved offspring, and that paradise is reserved for you, with no place for non-Israelis, then you should not be afraid of death. Rather, you should yearn for it. Readiness to die is the first test of right conduct.
وَلَن يَتَمَنَّوْهُ أَبَدًا بِمَا قَدَّمَتْ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ.
95 They will never want to die since they realize what preparations they have made for the next world. Allah is well acquainted with such deceitful people.
وَلَتَجِدَنَّهُمْ أَحْرَصَ النَّاسِ عَلَى حَيَاةٍ وَمِنَ الَّذِينَ أَشْرَكُوا يَوَدُّ أَحَدُهُمْ لَوْ يُعَمَّرُ 1000 سَنَةٍ وَمَا هُوَ بِمُزَحْزِحِهِ مِنَ الْعَذَابِ أَن يُعَمَّرَ وَاللَّهُ بَصِيرٌ بِمَا يَعْمَلُونَ.
96 Sir, far from invoking death, these people are even more greedy for life than Arab mushrikeen. Each of them longs to live for 1,000 years. But they do not realize that even if they were to live for 1,000 years it would not be possible for them to escape from the disastrous consequences of their wrongdoings. All that people do is under constant vigilance of Allah's law of makafat.
قُلْ مَنْ كَانَ عَدُوًّا لِجِبْرِيلَ فَإِنَّهُ نَزَّلَهُ عَلَى قَلْبِكَ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ مصدقا لما بين يديه وهدى وبشرى للمؤمنين.
97 These people are offended with Gabriel for delivering revelation to a non-Israeli prophet. Say to them, there is no reason for being offended with Gabriel because he does not of his own accord deliver revelation to anyone. By Allah's decree, through Gabriel, the Quran descended upon Kalb-e-Muhammad breast. Secondly, the Quran validates what you claim to believe, and thirdly, whosoever believes in this revelation and acts upon it will benefit.
من كان عدوا لله وملائكته ورسله وجبريل وميكال فإن الله عدو للكافرين.
98 Tell them that their criticism of Gabriel extends to Allah himself and to all the Malaika, including Gabriel and Michael and Rusul. This kind of criticism is tantamount to kufr. How can Allah be a friend to those who behave in this way?
وَلَقَدْ أَنزَلْنَا إِلَيْكَ آيَاتٍ بَيِّنَاتٍ وَمَا يَكْفُرُ بِهَا إِلَّا الْفَاسِقُونَ. 99 Say to them, despite your opposition and jealousy, Allah has given this clear guidance to me, and only those who have forsaken the right path will deny this. أَوَكُلَّمَا عَاهَدُوا عَهْدًا نَبَذَهُ فَرِيقٌ مِّنْهُمْ بَلْ أَكْثَرُهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ.
100 This is the state of their belief. As regards their practical life, when an agreement is made on behalf of the entire community by its representative, it is repudiated by some of them who regard the agreement as a piece of waste paper. This is because most of them have no faith in the divine laws.